All right, folks, welcome to Tavern Chat. I am your host, Eric Tunkar, your bartender in the OSR. With me today, I have Scott Griffen. By the way, Scott, listen, there's no secrets amongst here. You share your last name with my wife's maiden name, so who knows? We could be distantly related.
It's a very good
So,
possibility.
Scott, uh, we've been in communication for a while, and recently you had me listen to a phone conversation with one Ernie Gygax. Can you give some background as to how this came about?
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of funny. I checked the date, and it was exactly 1 year ago today that
Oh,
this conversation happened. So um, I met Ernie in 2015. I kind of did a cold call on Messenger and just, "Hey, I'm interested in learning about D&D history, and this is kind of when he was still drinking yet, and he said, "Come on up to my house." So I got to go spend the day at his house and meet Casey, the dog, God rest her soul, and we had a great time. Developed into a friendship, and other ex-TSR people, and ended up I ended up coming up with an idea based upon Jason Elliott's success with his iteration of TSR and their success with Top Secret New World Order. And I thought, hey, wouldn't it be fun to reopen the Dungeon Hobby Shop in Lake Geneva? Um, I started to do some investigative work on that, filing an LLC in Wisconsin. I was living in Wisconsin at the time. Um, doing some other things with trademarks, looking at things, and then I approached Ernie about it. It was about, I think, 2017. We talked about it briefly. I kind of wanted him in on the gig, some other old time TSR people in on the gig, and kind of left it there. And one thing led to another, and then in 2019, as I'm still continuing this background work and getting this all kind of set up, all of a sudden Justin Lanassa shows up in Lake Geneva at the Geek Nations tour, and Ernie mentions my idea to him,
nice.
and then goes the entire history that comes now before us with Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum and now TSR3 and all those other wonderful things.
All right. So now, folks, I have the door open behind me because this is to give fresh air. We're trying to clean the air out. Also, I'm going to be playing some audio now, so I am going to kill my camera because uh, bandwidth. I am not New York, so I'm going to kill my camera. There you will see me and my dwarven head. But let's let's start with the audio.
Phone call with Ernie Gygax, 6/24/21 at 5:06 p.m.
Hello, Scott.
Hello.
Hey, okay. I just tried to call Jeff to see if we'd get him involved in something like this, but he's not answering. But he has been doing texting with me here and there.
Okay.
I don't understand, but maybe I missed or was so blinded by other things that I didn't see that you getting hurt.
Now I'm pausing it right there for a second. He did not see you getting hurt. That is a very interesting comment to start out the phone call, but just an observation.
Right. Yeah, anybody who has met Ernie and maybe knows him a little bit more than having met him and gamed with him at a convention. Ernie can be a little obtuse sometimes,
Yep.
and he can be a little self-motivated, let's say. So that part didn't really surprise me, that he kind of wasn't observant of kind of the fallout and what was happening around him.
Fair enough. All right, back to the replay.
Involved with the hobby shops and the dungeon, and obviously you've got some deep running pain on this, because you've pissed off. You've been pissed off and gotten angry with Jeff as well, and he's another fellow that thinks very highly of you. And I know that with Justin, that's neither here nor there. I don't think you've ever had a high opinion of him to start with.
All right, so I guess I'll give Ernie credit for being observant in this case, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I guess truth will set you free. We got more truth coming up, so hold on.
Yeah, Justin and I did have interaction. I have never met him in person. I've never talked to him via telephone. We did exchange messages, and I know based upon one of the messages that you have seen, that he was fully aware that this was originally my idea that Ernie came to him with, and he didn't seem to have a problem with that. So yeah, so that is what it is, I guess.
All right, it's a TSR trademark. It was abandoned on the street corner. Not really. That's not quite how it happened. But the revisionist history is what it is, I guess. All right.
I don't know. Can you understand, under the circumstances and of what happened in 2017, how I could be upset about finding out concretely that my original idea that I brought you and Vicky Perrin in on, that you went behind my back and shared that with Lanassa during the
I shared it with the whole group.
Okay.
In front of the building.
Okay.
He seems kind of happy that he shared it with the whole group in front of the building. I mean,
yeah, there isn't a lot of kind of like, oops, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that. It wasn't just with Justin; it was the entire group I did it with. So, like, that made it okay.
Yeah, I didn't just share it with. I didn't just screw you over with one person. I made sure everybody was aware of what I was doing. Okay.
But Lanassa was in that group, and
yes,
then you, the two of you, decided to run with the ball and move forward, while I was still in preparation of attempting to resurrect the Dungeon Hobby Shop in Lake Geneva, as I shared with you. Can you understand how I might be a little upset by that?
Yes.
That's a definitive yes, but not a real invested yes. It's kind of like regretful yes.
That to me was a.
Go ahead.
That to me was I got my hand caught in the cookie jar.
Yeah.
Kind of like a very widespread public apology that went on by a gaming person of recent, kind of like, not really sorry. Besides, I'm sorry being caught.
Right. Yeah. Damn it. All right.
I thought that there was no hope. I didn't know that you really had this going. I didn't see the dream coming true. Justin jumped on this without even talking to me and did buy the building, and then said, I've listened to you. Will you come in and be with me as a partner?
So Justin bought the building without telling Ernie he was buying the building. I somehow don't really think that is how the timeline worked, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I had a hard time understanding that. I don't want to say believing it, but I had a hard time understanding that, if that's what Ernie's perception was, or if that's actually what occurred. Because I would think that you know, with the Gygax name and this being in Lake Geneva, and Ernie was going to be a big part of it, I would have thought that Justin would have been keeping him in the loop, so to speak, as things were progressing. And I know from talking with Justin or messaging with Justin, you know, he said buying that building from the owner, it was a labor to do that. You know, she was a self-admitted slumlord, and it wasn't something that happened quickly, and it wasn't something that was done cleanly, you know, from the aspect of just go in and sign the papers and that was it. And there was a tenant, I believe, that was there either in the upper or the lower apartment that they weren't going to be able to get rid of them until that lease was over, or evict them or something like that. So yeah, I have a hard time believing that Ernie was not in the loop in this at all with the purchase of the place or those early plans or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, let's move on.
So I don't remember. Did you ever talk to me again? Did you ever bring the topic up again after we had talked about it initially? After I had shown you the new artwork that I had done and Mark Allen had done, securing the Twitter space and buying the website pages and parking them? Do you remember any of that?
No, I don't remember that.
That's extremely. That's extremely. That's extremely.
What I do with Vicky Perrin either.
That's extremely convenient. That you don't remember that, and you don't remember our discussions and how deeply we were involved in this. I was seeking funding. I was seeking additional funding at that time when you betrayed me and told the whole group and put the seed corn in Justin's head. In 2017, because that was earlier in 2017. I don't think it was too much earlier before the Geek Nation tour stuff, because you had invited me to that. I was supposed to go to that, but I couldn't attend. You were going to see if you could get me a seat at it, that I could at least come and be in 330 Center Street and all of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I was in the active process of getting this done, and you fucked me. I got Gygaxed, so I guess I'm at least in honorable company with Dave Arneson and others.
By the way, that's a great line. I got Gygaxed. I give you credit for that one, Scott.
Thank you. I got Gygaxed, I believe, before Jason Elliott did. So that's
wow.
Yeah. So I think if you look at the timeline, either that or it's pretty darn close.
You both got Gygaxed by Ernie, and I think you got Gygaxed by Ernie earlier, but Jason got Gygaxed by Gail. That was an earlier Gygaxian fuckover. So yes, wow.
Yeah, correct. That is correct. The whole situation, and for people who don't know, Jason will tell you, he's very free with the information. They actually filed suit against Gail because of what was going on, and that's actually what started everything. And Ernie had the knowledge that Justin was going to basically swoop up and scoop up that TSR logo, because Jason Elliott and TSR2 had forgot, to re-up it or whatever, and Ernie never bothered to notify him. And this was after they had done business with Gygax magazine and that whole thing. So, you know, they were, I believe, friends, and they were, you know, in business together, and Ernie didn't even give him a heads up, not even a call or, hey, you know what you forgot to do?
No, because apparently, and I'm going to speak from opinion here, Ernie's focus is not necessarily on his business partners. Ernie's focus is on himself and what's best for me right now. So, I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that defend Ernie.
Yeah,
I can understand it, but I don't agree with it.
I would have to agree with your opinion, and I'm of the same opinion. And I've talked to some other folks that know him quite well, known him all of their lives, and they are of the same opinion also. Especially since his continued interaction with Justin, with TSR3, with the Dungeon Hobby Shop, even after everything that's come out about Dave Johnson and you know, those other kinds of things. But then again, you know, they do say birds of a feather kind of stick together. So
yep.
I don't. Well, I don't know. At this point, I'm almost thinking you're about ready to hang up. I don't know what we can do to repair this, because you are and have been my friend, and I feel lost. I'm not happy with this at all. With you know, I've always found. God damn it! You already fine. Oh, Jeff's here. Let's see if I can hold it, except I don't know how to add him into our conversation unless you don't want it.
You would have he can. I don't know if you. I can't. I don't know if you upgraded to your speaker, if you upgraded your flip phone or not. If you still have your flip phone, there probably wouldn't be a way to do it unless.
No, I don't. But I have something where I can end it, accept, or hold and accept.
Yeah, if you can, if Jeff calls you.
Yeah, which
you should.
Did, but now I think he's hung up.
If Jeff calls you, you should be able to accept the call, and then it becomes a three-way call.
Okay, well, he's already bailed out on this. I don't know if we should try to do a three-way or anything, or if you really just, if you vented and I've failed, and that this is a lost friendship, and that we've got crap instead of trying to figure out
this. Duck doesn't have a whole lot to do with this, because when I talked to Duck about it, I don't recall. I would have to look at my chat messages, but I had talked to Duck about it. But this wasn't like it was going to be, you know, this was going to be me and you and Vicky. And I brought Vicky in and I talked to her about it because of her dad. You know, he was so integral in the early days of TSR, in the early days of the hobby shop. I wanted a parent to be involved.
And there was no parent involved in this latest iteration of the Dungeon Hobby Shop, was there?
No. As far as I know, there was never any communication between Jeff Perrin or Vicky Perrin and Ernie or Justin Lanasa or anyone. And again, I'm not privy to everything,
right.
But as far as I know, there wasn't. You know, it was important to me to try to replicate that original kind of environment as best as I could. And I thought that, you know, Ernie had run the hobby shop. Duck had worked in the hobby shop at one point. You know, Jeff Perrin was integral early on, and I believe was Ernie's boss at the Dungeon Hobby Shop originally. I really wanted to get her involved and get her dad involved as much as he could. That was just super important for me to kind of try to recreate that environment.
It's a good. Your heart was in the right place. Let's say that, certainly.
So this was going to be our thing. This is between you and I, and what you did and how you pursued this with someone else. And you didn't even bother to come and talk to me about it and say, hey, I got a guy who's gung-ho about this. What do you think about sharing this? I mean, the first time I had ever heard about anything with Lanasta was when he and I messaged with each other on Facebook. We talked a lot about stuff. Things were great. We talked about what his plans were for the museum. We talked about all kinds of things. We even talked about me possibly sharing and letting him use the new logo I had Mark Allen use, that he could maybe use that. Maybe I would let him use the Twitter account. Maybe I would let him use the websites. But nothing had been finalized. There was nothing that was done. And then all of a sudden, it's like this was stolen right out from under me, Ernie. And it was like you didn't even have a second thought about, oh, well, it was Scott Griffin's idea, but let's go with Justin because, Justin's got the money, so he can do it right this minute. This is between you and I, and how this all transpired. I felt sick to my stomach when I watched that video, and I heard that come out of your mouth, the confirmation that you had talked to Justin via the group or whatever. You didn't say that in the video interview. You said you talked to Justin about it. And Ernie, it made me sick to my stomach. I thought I was going to throw up because I thought you and I were actual close friends. And I never, what my history is. You know what I did for a job. You know how I got injured. I never held it against you. Your alcoholism or anything else. I always looked at you as the person, Ernie Gygax, not what you had done. And you went behind my back, and you might as well have just did a 3 times damage thief backstab and just left it at that.
Scott, that was probably the most emotional part of this that I have listened to, and I get emotional listening to it, even again. So, God bless you for sharing this. Seriously, it's not easy.
No, it wasn't easy to talk to Ernie. I had actually blocked him on Facebook, and I had blocked Duck Leeson and a bunch of other people. And no, it wasn't easy to talk to him. And it's never easy to go through and relive these things. But oftentimes doing the right thing isn't the easiest thing. And
right.
I think, that there's a lot of things going on with, this person isn't like that. This person is totally opposite of that. That's all photoshopped. That's not real evidence. And it's a bunch of baloney. It's a bunch of baloney. When someone shows you who they are the first time, you better listen, because chances are, if you don't, you're going to find out the hard way. And I ended up finding out the hard way.
God bless you. I'm going to play a little bit more, and then we'll probably wrap this session, because believe it or not, we're not even 9 minutes into the recording, because the commentary has been that deep. Seriously, thank you. But let's listen to Ernie's response to that.
Is there any way to repair this by getting you involved in this, or is the wound is so deep that there's hatred and all there is bitterness? And I don't know. I didn't do this with any malice or forethought. I did it foolishly, apparently, with just jumping with an opportunity and dealing from my chaotic self rather than a planned activity.
I believe you, Ernie. I don't think you did it maliciously, but you did do it with no forethought. I will totally agree with that. You knew exactly where the idea came from. You knew exactly what was going on. Well, maybe you may have forgotten about the redo of the artwork and the part pages and all of that other kind of stuff, but you knew where the idea originally came from. So yes, I agree. I don't think you did it maliciously, but without forethought is 100% correct. You never again talked to me about it until after you had talked to Justin and 723 Williams was bought. And I'm like, what? I didn't know what to do at that point, what to feel, what to think. And Justin is Justin, and I just, he is who he is, and I understand that and I appreciate that, but I don't agree with a lot of the things that he does. I don't agree with a lot of the things that he says, and I think he is damaging I think he is damaging your brand, and I think he is damaging your new company. And that I told you in one of our final exchanges via Messenger that was the reason why I had stayed away from the hobby shop. That's the reason why I was keeping my distance, is because I could not support him. I could not support him and his abrasiveness, him being rude, him being ruthless. And I'm sorry, but just as people have pointed out, as a businessman, if people have questions about your new business or your new product, you don't attack them. You explain and give them information. And all he does is he goes on the attack right away. He did the same thing with me.
Yes. Yes, he does.
And I think that's going to be a perfect place to wrap this up, because he said Justin's a bully. And he says that he attacks his customers. He agrees with that statement. I don't think we've got a lot more, folks. Honestly, there's a lot more to this, but I think this is a perfect place to pause it. It's a lot to digest. We're already nearing half an hour. Doesn't seem like it, but God bless. So, Scott, again, thank you for. I mean, I know this wasn't easy. We discussed it. I really do appreciate you coming and sharing this with the gaming community.
Well, thank you for your coverage in all of this, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to bring this information forward, because I thought it was important for the overall discussion. Again, there's a lot of revisionist history going on right now, just with things that have happened within the last couple of years. And it's easy to lose sight of kind of what this is all about. Oh, these criticisms and critiques all started. It wasn't because we hated anybody. It wasn't because we, got the shaft by somebody. It was because there was some pretty foul stuff going on and being said and being done.
So, Scott, again, thank you for bringing this to light. Folks, we got more to this. I wanted to get this up. We'll get the rest up as time allows. They're certainly not. I got emotional. You guys can't see my face, but I got emotional listening to bits and pieces of this, because I could really feel the emotions from both sides. And huge thank you. As always, folks, we're in the midst of the world of the pandemic. I'm not your father. Neither is Scott. But use your common sense. If somebody used common sense right from the start, we wouldn't be in this situation that we had to bring to light right now, right? We wouldn't be here. We'd be a lot simpler world if common sense was much more common. Other than that, be safe, be well, God bless, roll those dice. And I'll be back with more of this in a live stream tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Again, thanks to Scott, and thank you all. Laters.